Hey everybody, Greg Denning. It's been a while since I've shared a message with some of you because I've been out living life and having an amazing time with my family. Got to lead a humanitarian expedition back down to Guatemala. Traveled up the Pacific Northwest of the United States with my family for several weeks and took a trip to Iceland where I grew out my Viking beard. But I was over trail running on that mountain this morning and I thought I've got to share these principles that have totally transformed my life. And these 5 things will dramatically improve and change your life too once you nail them. And you'll find, as I've found in working with thousands of people around the world, if we're missing one of these things in our lives, it gets out of balance and it gets frustrating and we seem to be struggling along instead of moving along effortlessly. And these 5 things, I call them the Fantastic 5. It's our physical, emotional, social, mental, and spiritual. It's those 5 elements in life that are so essential for all of us. And man, they make a gigantic difference. So I want to address each of them quickly in this video and then give you a challenge to do one thing, just one thing this week in each of these areas and see how it affects your life. So we start with physical. You and I know, and man, when we don't have our energy, when we don't feel good, when our health isn't great, man, it just tanks everything else, right? All these other things can be fantastic, but if we're tired and we're sore and we're out of shape or maybe overweight, it just drags us down. And so it's hard to sleep well. It's hard to get out of bed in the morning and you're crawling out. And you end up hating your alarm instead of having it be an opportunity clock for a new day. And so we've got to have great health, right? Our physical body needs to be in great shape. So I want you to pick one thing to start working on this week. Maybe it's exercise. You go out 3 or 4 times, get some good exercise in. Maybe it's cutting out fast food or junk food. Just go this week, no junk food. Or maybe it's adding really healthy food. You're going to eat 5 or 6 salads this week or whatever it is. Just pick one thing that you're going to improve your health. Maybe you got to cut out some alcohol or some tobacco or any addictive substances. Cut down on the caffeine that gives us those energy spikes, but then those tanks and our bodies become dependent on it. Just whatever it is, you just choose something and study it and say, this week I'm going to do better. Just one thing, just boom, going to do that this week. There's a fantastic book about this, by the way, called The Power of Full Engagement. Excellent. Next is emotional. If our emotions aren't in check, and I love the word emotional mastery or that term, if we can learn to be masters of our emotion, to have a good, full, healthy range of emotions. There are times we should be very angry and very sad and very excited and very happy and very peaceful. We should have a full range of emotions and we should deliberately exercise those and learn how to bridle and control them so that we're masters of our emotions and we're not, we don't have road rage or crazy tempers. And you guys, I used to have a crazy temper and I was in this place where I believed I was a victim of a temper and people told me it's because I had red hair. I'm getting rained on now. It's a beautiful rainstorm. But we've got to control those emotions. So pick one emotion you want to work on this week to not subdue it, not get rid of it, but to control it, to gain more emotional mastery, better emotions. Next, we'll go with our minds. We've got to exercise our mind. And a lot of people say, oh, I got my education and they're done. Man, isn't this nice? Rainstorm in the Rocky Mountains. And they say, well, I'm done. I graduated. I got my education. I'm done. And I want to say there's never, ever a graduation from education. So I hope you'll always exercise your minds. Do little mental exercises from crossword puzzles to memorizing poems or great quotes or learn a new language. I've committed to learn a new language, to master a new language every 5 years. And so I study French every day now. I love it. Just exercise our minds. So pick something this week. Memorize something. Practice something. Do a puzzle. Do something that exercises your mind. Start learning a language. Next, let's see. We got physical, emotional, mental. Let's go social. Social matters so much. Our whole life is about relationships, right? I love to tell the people I'm mentoring and coaching, the quality of your life will be determined by the quality of your relationships. If If you're not working on your marriage, you're working on your divorce. If you're not working on friendships, you're working on loneliness. We've got to invest in our relationships, and we've got to get really good at being in relationships and building them, starting new ones and investing in the ones that really are important to us. So pick something this week, just one thing. What's one way you can improve in your relationships and your social aspect? For some of you, it's going to be able to reach out more, connect with more people. To others, it'll be don't talk so much, listen more. For some, it might be to forgive or to ask forgiveness. Others, it might just be, you know what, this person's important to me. I haven't been showing that to them. This week, they're going to know how much I love them. I'm going to give it to them, right? Do that. Oh, it'll make a huge difference. I went from just utter loneliness and being shy and timid and reclusive and just totally alone. There was a spot in my life when I was a teen out on my own, like no friends, no family, nothing, man. And it was miserable. And I realized I've got to become good at relationships because that's what matters most to me. And to have a wonderful marriage and 7 children and lots of great friends around the world, I love it. I love it. The last one's spirituality. Every one of us is a spiritual being. And we've got this spiritual side of us that's connected to our values and to our standards and to our connection to God and our connection, I would say, connection to nature and to earth and connection to our inner selves, right? This, whether we have peace or turmoil in there. And so we've got to work on that spiritual side too. A lot of people just will neglect that. And can you see how these 5 matter so much? And if one's missing, we get lopsided, we get out of balance, and how each of them are interconnected. If one's off, it affects the others. And so we kind of go through life, and this made the biggest difference in my life for me, you guys, as I started working on these 5 things deliberately for years, and I have for the last 24 years now, been really working on these to get a good balance in life, and I'm still working on them and still growing and improving. But I can tell, and I'm sure you can too, I can tell when my life is lined up with these 5 things and I'm working on them, man, it feels fantastic. I'm excited to be alive. I'm going after things. I have enthusiasm and excitement and peace and contentment and joy, and I feel more jovial. I just feel alive. You got to squeeze the juice out of life, right? It feels wonderful. But when they're off, when they're being neglected, when they're out of balance, I just feel like I'm limping along, like I'm dragging this heavy weight, like anything I'm trying just doesn't work, and I just feel blah. I'm sure you've experienced this too, and I've seen it around the world with all the people I work with. And when we get these things in line, man, boom, they hit it home. It's awesome. So spirituality, pick one way this week to improve your spirituality. It might be meditating. It might just be some solo time, some quiet time. It might be spending time in nature. It might be reading some spiritual books. There's a lot of really great spiritual books out there. It might be more time in prayer or just time in listening to God, listening to the world, the universe, and the energies that are out there, and just kind of improving that inner peace. It might be, for some of us, might be just going deep inside and looking inside and say, hey, how are things in here? And how can I settle things and resolve some concerns? Like do the inside job, right? That the inner life that matters so much. So you guys go out there just this week. Just pick something simple. Shoot me a message. Shoot me a message and let me know what you're going to work on. What are the 5 things you're going to work on this week? And let's go out. Let's get our fantastic 5 operate in our life to give us so much joy and peace and happiness and success, where you just feel so alive, so excited. Right? Where life can be wonderful. I remember times when I was so depressed and so discouraged and desperate, and I hated that. But I love it when life is good. You love your life. You're happy to be living, right? And it's the best. And honestly, going through my journey now and learning that and then helping thousands of people around the world, this is my purpose. So I love doing this. And I've created a ton of resources. So subscribe to my YouTube channel and connect with me on Facebook or Instagram. And then I have tons of resources on gregdenning.com and worldschoolacademy.com. Go there, check out the resources for each of these fantastic 5. And of course, it's just really get our whole life in this balance. So it's this holistic approach to really living to your potential and living a life that you just love. You get up and you live it and you love it and you go to bed at night saying, that was another awesome day of life. Let's go out and make it happen. Shoot me any questions, you guys. If you have questions about this too, like, hey, how can I improve this? Any of those fantastic 5 early questions, shoot me some questions. Love to share what I've learned in studying voraciously in personal development and human performance for over 20 years. I love this stuff and I live for it. You guys are awesome. Look forward to hearing your responses and connecting with you. Reach upward.